Hello, real estate fans and friends of T360. I'm here with Paul Hagey today to give you guys just a quick teaser on some of the trends that are coming in the upcoming Swanepoel Trends Report, which we'll be releasing digitally in November and for print edition in December. Paul has been with us. You've been writing with us for what, 5 or 6 years?
5 or 6 years, yeah.
It's been a while. And then we promoted you to our editor-in-chief, I think 2 years ago, to help us do the research and run the report. I think the little secret that nobody necessarily knows is that Stefan Swanepoel does not write every word of the Swanepoel Trends Report.
He's graciously transferred that to me.
Yeah, and as a matter of fact, a lot of that report comes out of you and me and a few other, really great collaborators on this report. So why don't we jump in? Tell us a little bit about the report. I know we're gonna talk about 3 of the topics that are in the report and kind of talk about what we're doing for these topics. So, but give us a little overview. What's coming?
Okay, I'll frame it up a little bit too first. We work on this for months and think about the topics a lot ahead of time. We talk to a lot of people, do a lot of background research, and we're in the final stages of copy development and beginning design very shortly. So this is an exciting moment in the report and an intense one. But we have some great topics this year, as you well know, Jack, and you and I have been working really closely on developing these. And I think first and foremost with our audience, it's been kind of Lee's story in all the news is the compensation, the evolution of the compensation structure and what's happening there with the regulatory and the litigation that's going on in that space. It was our top trend last year, and we're going to have a really, really dynamic update this year with some diving into what you played a role in developing this chapter of we're identifying, for example, like clearly defining and what agency means and by different location, by different states, because there's a different policy structure and then also practice in each state. And I think it gets pretty interesting pretty quickly. Maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit, because I think that's a really valuable component.
This has been the hottest topic. I mean, we are speaking once or twice a week on the compensation model, potential changes and the moving buyer brokerage into a optional item within the MLS, where we've seen many MLS organizations are now saying you can put 0 in that field. It's not required. So it's potentially a big change for a lot of the industry. So people have been asking us about this. What we've done in this update is we've kind of given an overview of here's everything that has happened so far that you need to know. And then here is how the nuts and bolts of what you need to do as an association, an MLS, a brokerage, depending on your geography and the nature of your agency laws in your state. And for example, Florida and Colorado are very commonly a transaction brokerage state where there is infrequently a representation agreement signed by the buyer. So there may need to be significantly more adjustment in those markets because of that common practice. And other states where representation is more common, this is going to be an easier change, where it says, okay, you just have to agree to compensation up front. But we did really dig into the nuts and bolts of that. And then we've also done, with the consulting team, we have done some audits of a number of brokerages practices in buyer brokerage and looked at everything from their websites to their listing presentations to their buyer presentations, if they have one, to all of their different materials. And out of that, we've come away with some things that we've learned that we think every other broker should have a look at and say, oh, this is important. If I'm going to go and touch buyer brokerage and agents that work with buyers, these are the touch points you need to go after and make sure you get them really.
And
really
maybe people can tell by your rundown that this is the trend report is designed to be a strategic tool for leaders to understand the trends and then what to do about them, and it starts the conversation. It has enough data and information to actually have fruitful conversations with their leadership team, and even this filter down to their sales teams of how do we respond in a broad way, how and why should we adjust and move in some of the ways that the industry is moving. And so this is a great example of
This is a very good example. Yeah, this is not just a hey, here's what's happening. It's here's what's happening based on these different situations. Here's the things that you probably should go do for your brokerage in 2024, if not as soon as the report's published.
And that's the thing you and I have worked really hard on this report. We're making the report even more actionable as a strategic guide for leaders. And that's a good example. It's like, this is a good, that's one of the things to take away from this, is that we're making it even more actionable this year. And we'll talk about some of the ways later in the call. And I'm excited. That one has really come together in an interesting way. And as you can tell, there's some nuance there, and we do a good job about cataloging what's happened. But then what are some conversations, some insight to make some moves there? Another one that's interesting. This one is close to you, Jack. You've been using this in the consulting realm for a long time. It's the concept of agent archetypes that we've developed over thousands of hours of consulting and insight into companies, and like it maybe just introduce the concept.
I'll talk through this concept. So we have used a concept called agent archetypes, and we've also, some of you have seen, we give a presentation called the 4 Ways Agents Make Money. And it's really about the different business practices that agents are in, whether it is working with their sphere, prospecting to expired FSBOs or people that they don't know, lead conversion, lead generation, lead conversion, and then marketing. And that those are kind of the 4 fundamental ways. So it's a fundamental talk that's lived in the consulting side for a decade. It's been the core of the T3 Fellows program. It's been a core conversation both with brokers and with companies that sell into the space to help them understand how do agents make money? What are the things they do? So this chapter, we're both going to expose that whole system. We realize we've never written a chapter on it. It's super valuable. This material, I've had people come up to me after presenting it and saying, I wish I learned this, the day after I got my license, or that I learned it in my first year in business, because of how impactful it is on helping not just an agent understand how to work, but helping a broker understand, what do I need to do to support a network type agent?
That's the beauty of this chapter. It ties together like how brokerages, like it gives them some clarity of some tools to like think about, okay, what type of agent am I positioned to best service, and in what way am I servicing them? And then you can just like hone in on better servicing the agents you have, and maybe even making decisions about shifting that. It's like, hey, we actually want to move into, we see an opportunity to move in this direction. We need this type of agent. And then it's the utility for agents themselves to understand their own businesses and where to focus their time and energy and money.
It's incredibly powerful. And it's something that brokers that have worked with us have often moved this into their recruitment. If they've moved it into their retention, into their consulting with their own agents about their business. And then I would say the other piece that ties it in, part of why we wanted to do it this year, is in a shifting market, or in a market where things have changed and where business is slow, you really can't waste any time. You really need to focus on what is our knitting, what is the thing we're going to be excellent at for generating business. And oh, by the way, there's some of that business that's not happening right now. So a lot of people that operate principally via networking may need to learn one of these other ways where they can build market share in a different way, working with people that they don't know.
And
right?
We talk about that in the chapter about the market life cycle and even the career life cycles agents, and how these kind of fit together and how you can leverage them, because they're obviously not siloed boxes, and there's an overlap and there's some skills that need to transfer.
Yeah, this chapter, Paul, I've seen the draft of it. This chapter, the material, I already know will be something that everybody will refer to for, probably for forever, but at least for a long time. Yeah. It's that strong where people go, okay, I'm gonna pull this back out because it has such training, recruiting, such value in terms of leading.
And that represents some of the best of the STR, of bringing something that has some foundational use that you can build over and use as a tool going forward and to build upon. And so that's the whole idea. So that leans into something we're really focused on. And I think it's good to note, and part of this chapter, we distilled what actually is happening as far as competition, which is why brokerages and agents themselves need to focus even more on what they are doing and why and how. Well. Yeah. Because we have a chart in there. It's like we plot NAR members, the ratio of NAR members, the total NAR members to home sales, and it has consistently dropped over the last 10 years. And it's like roughly 3.1 from 2013, it was at 4.8 or so. And so you can see there's 3.1 home sales per agent. that gives you an idea of not only is that dropping, that's a few number. There's a lot of competition.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, there's a real productivity conversation to be had. There's a real productivity conversation there for sure. So, and then what's our last topic we're going to tease today? Is it?
Well, this one's related. It's the need, the need to focus and differentiate and really refine strategy and business model. This one is from Michael Phelan on our tech team. We worked together on this one to put this together. It's a model that he came across called the value stick model. It's a model for uncovering strategic differentiation. It's a simple model. It allows you to really focus in on what are the things you can do to increase the value to consumer and to agents, and then how do you plot that against the competition. And it's beautiful because then you can see, okay, well, maybe we do this well, but everybody does this well, but what could we do and focus on that maybe somebody else isn't doing, which differentiation in that way and that strategic model for that is going to be increasingly important as the number of deals are falling, as we well know.
Oh, there's trend lines. There are trend lines here about that's happening with consolidation. You know, as we've seen over the last 5 years, the consolidation of transactions into the top 1,000 brokerages, we've gone from about mid 40s to low 60s now are being done in the top 1,000 brokerages. So, and that's going to continue. And as that compression of transactions continues to happen, it's going to be more critical that firms are really differentiated, that they know what they do well, they execute on it. The agents that are attracted to that business will go to that business because they know that that's where they're going to get what they need. So I think that's huge. I have a lot to comment on. I think brokerages sell the wrong stuff in terms of to their agents. We sell the wrong stuff. We say, oh, this is all the tools we offer, or this is our compensation plan. And that usually comes to the front of the conversation with any broker when you talk about value proposition. You're like, well, I offer these tools, and it's the wrong conversation because it's not really talking about what is the differentiation that their business is and what are the results they're producing for their agents. What are the lifestyles of the agents? How are they living because of that strategic differentiation and the tools and services. So I think this is a really cool chapter that I think will help a lot.
Fascinating.
Yeah, help brokers and teams even. I think this is very applicable to teams as well. Think about their organization and where they're positioned.
And it's a very simple model to distill to apply that exercise. That's the whole idea of the model. And we explain it in a very simple way, and we have some examples of how to apply it even yourself and like going through the exercise, because it does allow you to uncover some insights and start beginning to refine some operations that can lean into that.
Yeah. It's really good.
So yeah, we have a number of others. Those are 3 of about 10 that we're developing. We have one coming on the evolution of online real estate, where portals are headed and what the context there, what are they offering brokers and agents, and how are they engaging with consumers, and that whole mix is really compelling and interesting of how that segment has evolved. It's different. Diving into it, it's different than what you might think, and analyzing and putting out the components is really compelling. And then we have another one that you and I have been working closely on is kind of coming up with a framework to understand how to catalog and then also compare brokerages based on business model. This has been an ongoing effort by us, and we think we've got something pretty interesting. So that's coming, which we'll introduce on future webinars when we get closer to launch. But that one is very compelling, and it's really excited to bring this to life. So this year, to the point of we've really focused on building the report into an actionable strategic tool for leaders. We've introduced this concept of packages. And Jack, we'd love you to describe.
Yeah, I'll talk about those. Yeah. So we sort of stumbled on this because of the things that we were being asked, right? So companies, boards, organizations would come to us and say, hey, we got the report, but can you come out and facilitate a meeting with us and really take us through this? Can we do a Q&A session? Can we do something to bring in our larger board of directors or an advisory board? We want to have a conversation or organization around, a few of the trends that are in the chapter. And so we recognize that just receiving the book and reading it, you may need some additional things in order to go implement. And so we've designed some packages specifically for organizations that want to have T360 address their group, get involved with their group. We've got some additional materials that you can use in your own meetings and your strategic planning and board meetings to talk about the different trends that are going on. You know, really.
And we have an executive summary, which you guys, anybody who's read the report knows it's pretty dense. There's a lot of takeaways, but we are able to distill them out so that almost like create the talking points for the organizations and their leadership groups, which we've heard over and over from customers that this is something that they would really want. So we've broken that out this year.
It's a little bit more of a toolkit for action where you say, okay, I got it. I understand what's in it. And then how do I convey this information to my organization? And how do we have conversations about what we're going to do? So we've built a toolkit, and we have some different engagement types where, you know, we can be available to facilitate or present or do Q&A or get involved with conversations around some of the trends. We think this is going to be really critical around things like the compensation changes in the industry, things like the agent archetype model that we talked about here and how agents make money, and that there's a little bit of a consultative approach to that to say, you know, you're in one situation, how do you use the trends report to get to another one? So we think it's going to provide a lot of value to people, because we've had people that reach out to us and gotten us involved with their organizations like this. And we said, this is easy. Let's just do that more, and we'll be able to impact more people. So that's it.
So the report's available now for pre-purchase. There's a discount that comes with that, $20 per license, and you can go to t3trends.com/trends, and I think we'll put it into this recording. And there's benefits in price as volume goes up, and so that's something we're selling now, and it's ready and excited to bring to you.
Yeah, and if you do pre-purchase, you will get access to the digital version as soon as it's released in first week in November, I think is what we have it slated for right now. And then you'll receive the publication about 30 days later, because it takes we're literally giving it to you the same time that we give it to the printer to print it and do it. So each license comes with both a digital access version and a really cool bonus, Paul, which you and I have discussed. You get access to all of the prior trends reports and materials. So if there's something you missed from a prior report, or if you're doing some work with us, and we can refer you to other chapters that are.
And increasingly, these trends, as we all know, don't just come anew in year to year. And these echo back to previous reports that lay the foundation, that have the important context, that if you're really trying to strategically understand something, you can really come to a fuller picture of where things are and where they're headed, which is the whole idea. So this digital component really ties the whole piece together in a really strong way.
Yeah, I think it's much better. You get access to the report, the freshest, newest material, and then anything in that we've published already, so you can catch up. I think it's very strong. So that's it. So go to t3trends.com/trends, pick up a copy. Pre-order now. You get the pre-order pricing by doing it right away, and don't wait on that. That's going to expire. And then you will hear from us. We've got a few other trends we'll talk about on some future segments like this, about what's coming and how to use the trends report effectively in your organization.
Yes.
And thanks everybody for watching. Yeah, we'll see you on our next one.